I'm going to do training on Blueprint, lead routing support, kind of how to basics of troubleshooting. So obviously you'd have to go to your site and Blueprint that you want to troubleshoot lead routing on. The first step would be to go to the page that has the form that you're troubleshooting lead routing for. In this case, we use the finance app as an example. So where you want to go is the form settings on the blue bar is here. So you click on that and you go in the form settings. Once you're in there, you go to the delivery tabs. And usually one is for HTML leads and one is for XML leads for the dealership. So whichever one you're troubleshooting, or maybe both, you would just go to that tab. And make sure that there's usually you'll see custom fields in here for under the email address. Same thing here. This one might be labeled, sales or service or XML leads, and then HTML might be labeled sales, service, HTML leads. If that seems, you might see email addresses directly in there. So if you do see that, I would make sure that's correct. Or if it seems like the rest of the site has custom fields, you could update it to that once you checked out the custom fields and made sure they were right. So once you've checked that, you want to go to the main menu settings, and then go to custom fields, and then take a look at those same custom fields, because this is where you will actually see email addresses. And the reason why it's usually set up with custom fields is so this becomes a centralized location for all email addresses. So when updates need to be made, they can be made here, and it'll filter to all the custom fields being used on all the forms across the site. So for example, HTML leads, you'll see multiple email addresses can be entered using a comma, separate them. XML leads, you usually see the one email address for the dealership. And then depending on what custom fields you were looking at, for example, if we were looking at new HTML leads, then we can make sure that these email addresses are the one we want, and this is where you could delete, update, change, to the correct ones or make any updates. Same with XML leads, that email address can be updated here. So once that's done, then you would save your changes and you would go through and publish that to production. Next, I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot lead routing on a smart site. So same thing, go to the page with the form that you want to troubleshoot lead routing for. We'll try the finance app again here. This should be a good one. Okay. So once again, you'll see it. Page looks fairly similar. One difference is that you should see this at the bottom here with these block added with these fields labeled dealer HTML, dealer XML, and then you should see the field name here, and then also where they're populating to, and then you have all these options which are which are in the dealer samples. I'll show you in a minute. But in this case, it's finance, so when troubleshooting, you realize that those are labeled properly. XML settings, same thing. We can check that if necessary. Finance, and those are under finance XML leads. So maybe if it, the XML might be the same as all these other XML ones, but we do want to make sure that's set up properly. HTML could make more of a difference where it could go to the wrong email addresses if it's not set up properly. So those look set up. Those look like they're set up properly. Another step would be going to the form settings again, and same thing, come over to these delivery tabs. Oh, I'm on the wrong part here. In these delivery tabs, you should see that same field name entered here, and then for XML, you'll see the same field name entered there. So that's another spot to troubleshoot to make sure it's set up properly. Once we see those are good or the corrections are made, you can also come into, in this case, instead of going to settings for smart sites, the email addresses are added under dealers. There we go. So once you come to dealers, click on your dealership, and then you want to come into contacts, and this is where you can see, so in this case, we're using finance, and then our HTML leads. For finance, we'll go here, and multiple email addresses, once again, can be entered there, using a comma to separate them. So you can, if there's a lot, you can just copy it out into a notepad and make sure all your email addresses are right, and then that's where you can make sure it's right, or once again update it or change it or add to it. And then of course, if you want to check the XML leads, that's the field where you can check that. And then of course, if any changes are made, you would want to publish the site to QA and then to production.